Oh, hello. So, this video I want to make as a kind of a. Look, I look stupid. It was windy outside. Sorry. I was busting my ass today. We did a hell of a job. It was fantastic. I made a lot of money. Uh, got a lot of practice. It was great. It's a good day today, and it was nice out. Um, the weird thing, cool thing about it, at one point, is it was sunny out, and it was like sun shining, and it was just like a beautiful fucking day out there. Glorious, beautiful day. But it was hailing at the same time. That was very odd. It was, the miracles of Cleveland, I suppose you could say. In any case, I've shut my shit off. If you're trying to contact me, I mean, that was just, I got home today and it blew up again, like blew the fuck up again, and that's awesome. I love it, but I mean, it's just like blinging every fucking few seconds. So, and that phone is aggravating. So I turned it off. Um, Sorry, but this video, I'm gonna try to speak to values and how they operate to a certain extent, and how you communicate with the world. Because this theme is about responsibility, and responsibility is not, it does not only cover you taking care of business. It's not just a matter of you, it's a matter of you taking care of business, but in like a larger way, like throughout the entirety of the world in your life. There's so many levels and layers to you living that you might not be aware of. A lot of us are not aware of. I was not aware of until, a year ago. I started doing this. And in this story, I'll give you a little pointer. What I started doing was I was posting poetry. I was writing sad, sappy poetry because I had a falling out with someone that I really loved a lot, and it was hurtful to me. And I was broke. I broke down, but I wasn't quite like cracked broken yet. I got there. I got to the point where I just cracked like an egg and I emerged. But for a while there, I was just kind of like busted, just totally bust, and shit out of luck, and I felt awful all the time. I had, separation anxiety was just building all the time, and I watched videos about how to deal with that, with losing, a special someone. I watch videos about how to deal with, I've watched videos about trying to get them back, and I'm not gonna lie, I watched like dating videos and shit. I watched ridiculous videos and like took them as though I was seeing from a mentor kind of capacity, as though I was training, and that helped a lot. But I mean, ultimately, I was really just beat down, and I was so sad, and I was felt so hollow and empty, like my soul had been stolen from me. Because I really, really, this certain relationship was just something I put my all into. It meant everything to me, and then it was just suddenly stolen. Not only stolen, but it became a damaging, hurtful scenario towards me. And of course, it brought out the worst in me. This person and I, it brought out the worst in both of us. They became very careless, and kind of like sort of, I don't want to say hateful, but it brought out this tendency to like put people down and speak ill of people, while I was like super jealous all the time. And it was just, I was super jealous, and I was like really, really like deep into that jealousy and envy, and like it was a bad scenario. That's not the point of the video, but that that could be a point of the video, is that, if you notice that stuff kind of coming out of you, that and if it's because of a relationship, these are difficult things to deal with. We'll have to get deep into all of this these next 2 weeks, but um if you notice that those values being drawn up in you, you need to deal with that appropriately. You can't fuel those flames. You can't throw gas on that fire. You got to be able to take responsibility and deal with things appropriately. You can't get the shaded part of you, let the shaded part of you take over and drive you. You got to be with it, But, anyways, the pointer would be I started posting that poetry and it sucked. I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't want to have to write the poetry. I didn't want to feel that way. But I wrote the poetry every day. Every day I wrote some sappy poem, and they were all great. They were so good. It's the most excellent work I've ever done, probably. But I wrote them and I posted them, and pretty much I was pouring my sadness and my sorrow and my angst and anxieties into this poetry every day, and I was working to make that poetry happen. That's the key. I was working to make it happen, and it became a duty to me. No matter what happened, no matter what was happening, no matter how I felt, how bad I felt, no matter how preoccupied I was, no matter how beat up I was, no matter what, I would write that shit and I would put my effort into it and I would write it and I would post it and pretty much display my broken heart out in open public, which there wasn't a lot of people then. There was like 20, 30 people in the group, and then it blew up because of that poetry. We got like 30 people would come in at a time. One time it was 87 people came in at once. Because I didn't know how to check the. I was new to the group myself, so I didn't know how to check the member requests. I was the only one, you know, checking it. Boob and Megan never used the page because it wasn't active. We hadn't activated it. That was when I decided to activate it. And I didn't know how to check the member requests, and one day I noticed a button and I press it, and there's 87 people requesting to join. They've probably been there for a while. So yeah. Anyways, I made that a duty, a routine duty, to do something that was difficult. This is simple. It's just that simple. Every day I did something that was difficult. Not only was it difficult, it didn't seem to pay off for me. Of course, ultimately it did pay off because here we are. But it didn't seem to be paying off for me in any way. It didn't seem to be helping. I was venting, but that wasn't a whole hell of a lot of help. I was still going through the shit of it. But I did that as a duty. And even if the poetry was bad, even if I couldn't write it that day, I still did it and I still posted it. I made that a routine duty. And every day I flexed that muscle. And the pointer being, it became a sort of a training routine that made me aware of a muscle that I hadn't known I had before. Because they say time flies when you're having fun, and every one of you knows that that's absolutely true. Time just zips on by when you're having a good time. It's also true in reverse. So bear that in mind and try to make a routine of doing something challenging and difficult. I use the page. You guys can use the page too, is what it's meant for. It's a training ground. You guys can use it. You can write shitty poetry, sappy poetry, whatever. You can try your best to draw a picture and fail and post it anyways. Do something that is presses on you, that creates attention, and do it every single day. Don't ever fucking miss it. If obviously if you absolutely have to for some reason you can't do it, whatever, but if you're able, make that happen every day. See what happens. I don't have to even train you with this. You'll become aware of that muscle yourself. You'll learn how to flex it. Then we can start teaching you how to work with bending time. Anyways, I use a simple example as I have before. Uh, like attracts like. That's basics of laws of attraction. And laws of attraction are very real. If anybody doesn't believe in them, just observe. Pay attention to what's happening to you. You ever think of something? You ever get a kind of something in the back of your head, like maybe a car you like, and then happen to see it all over the place throughout your day, throughout your week? Happen to just see that car popping up all over the place? Think that's a coincidence? No, something's making that happen. Tell you what. Your mind, your brain, not your mind. Your mind is everything. Your mind is the soul, the one soul that we all share, and it kind of locks in the frequency of it, the very essence of that soul, that mind. It locks in to this transceiver. These chakras, these nerve clusters, are what attaches that uh, energy, that consciousness, that awareness, attaches it to certain areas of the body so that you can maneuver it. You can control it. It comes in through the brain, right up here. Comes in, attaches, and you are a transceiver. Your body is a transceiver for this energy, and it it tunes it. It tunes the energy into becoming what you are. And this is based on the values that you have assimilated as a part of your identity. These values make up, these values are in here. They make up what tunes your frequency and makes your signature, makes you you. Because ultimately, you are not really you. You doesn't exist. There is no you. We're all me. There's only I. There's this one soul. But it tunes in through here, this transceiver, and it kind of results as a you, as a person. And essentially it's kind of for the sake of you pretending to be who you are. But you are who you are, and you gotta own yourself. You are the owner. You own this world. You are everything. This body is a specific vehicle that you, as this personality, have chosen to use. But ultimately, that personality is just the body. The body is the threefold entity: the mind, soul, body. Body is everything, and the ether. The memory, gravity, relativity. Memory is simply that which is remembering to be what it is. It's what you are. Memory. It's energy clustering up and remembering to be something. Like memory foam, when you press on it and your handprint remains, is the same thing. Memory is just energy remembering to be what it is repeatedly. It's remembering to pretend to be this certain something, to imagine it, to image it in, image it into reality, create it in its image and of its likeness. Now, gravity is what holds it together. Gravity is just the very simple being of it held together, is the clustering effect that draws things together, and it's always drawing things all over the place. Gravity is that which moves things, really. Then the third is relativity, or ultimately deep down at the bottom it could be termed reflection, though I think reflection would have to cover all three. So we'll say that the essence of it is reflection. Reflection is what is all things. It's you reflecting. It's me, I, reflecting upon this this dream, this imagination. And that's what responsibility is all about, because you are constantly reflecting and you can decide how you reflect. But that third factor is relativity. It's our existence concept. The current existence concept being relativity. The following existence concept will move into directive relativity, so it'll still be relativity, but it's going to be governed largely by what we understand of quantum mechanics. And when that happens, things are going to start to get wacky. If you look around in the world, surf the internet, check things out, things are starting to get a little weird. Weird things are beginning to happen. They have for a little while now. That's because the closer we come to understanding quantum mechanics, the more values that we unlock from it and assimilate, the more people that become aware of how quantum mechanics operates, the less stable our environment is becoming, because quantum mechanics as an existence concept allows for unimaginably crazy things to happen. Just about anything can happen with that as our governing principle, and it's going to become our governing principle not too far off from here. And it's not like immediately. It's probably not going to happen in the next year or two, but it's going to happen pretty soon. and things are going to get very, very weird. And if we don't learn, if we don't learn now, as in train ourselves, there's nothing to learn. We know everything, and what we know is created by us. There's nothing really to learn, like a lesson that's there to discover. We create it. If we don't create and share a creation, if we don't all get on the same page and have the same understanding by the time that that happens, all hell will break loose, because each individual is going to be affecting their own reality directly. And that's going to be a wacky scenario. You're going to be in a dreamland. We need to get as many people as we can on the same page, understanding the same way. Now, it's not to say that we're going to make everybody, think like we do. Everybody that's involved has a say in it. We're all going to judge this based on our mutual opinions, and we're going to come to a common understanding that suits us all. There is no, I'm not going to try to make you think the way I do. I'm going to show you what I know, and you need to tell me what you think of it. You need to tell me what you think about the things that I tell you, so that you and I can come to an understanding, so that you and the rest of the group, everybody who talks to me, can get on page and start communicating with each other and come to a common understanding. We need to do that now. This is the creative essence, the kundalini of the earth itself, of the planet of life itself, is breaking loose right now. And we have to coordinate it properly, or the system is going to start breaking down. And it works on various layers, The layer of us coming to a common understanding is the balancing effect for the physical aspect of the kundalini, the material aspect of the impulse coming loose. And it breaking down the system is, on another level, us losing control. It's basically it. It's going to be us gaining such a level of control individually that we as a community just lose control entirely. We need to build a community that understands this, that understands what's really happening and how to deal with it properly. By properly, I mean however we decide to. And where you can come to a mutual understanding that nobody wants war. Nobody wants this fighting, killing. Nobody wants that. The people who do want it, the people who are greedy enough to want it for profit, even and the people who want it because they actually like dig it, like killing, these people are psychopaths. Okay, we don't want to have them anymore. If they're curable, we cure them. If they're reformable, we reform them. If not, we need to get rid of them. At the very least, just kind of divide them from our community. These psychopaths, we cannot have. I'm sorry to say it. Maybe somebody with psychopathy and you love them. I'm sorry. They got to go. We don't have time to fuck around with this, and we have to heal our community. We have to heal our community, whatever it takes. We have to remove the elements that are destroying us. So these people that love war, these people that work toward war, they gotta go. I'm sorry. In any case, speaking to the nature of values in play, I'll use the one example for right now because I don't have a lot of time. Like attracts like, that's a simple, basic, fundamental operating system of it. What is attracts things that are similar to it. Now, your thoughts are attracting things, creating things, in fact. When you decide something, when you actually decide for something to be, like I decide I have this red nose for Red Nose Day, which, by the way, support the children if you can, but really put into that Uganda fund, please. We're getting it started. But I decide to have this. And then behind it, unraveling backwards through time, an explanation is created to deliver it. And it's happening to all of us all the time. And if you think that's a little weird, a little wacky, a little out there, go take a look at what they're finding in quantum mechanics. See if you can't tell me it's a little too wacky then, because shit's happening there that explains that perfectly and then goes even further into crazy land. and go down the fucking rabbit hole with that shit. But just for now, try to at least imagine trusting me on this. Time we observe time. Our awareness of time is in reverse. We observe time inverted, you could say. A reason exists, and the reason is the decision. Your decision, your actual decision, is the reason. You just for it. You created it. That's the reason. Then time creates, values come into play, and matter compacts and concentrates to become, or energy concentrates to become matter to create things, and these things are guided via synchronicity, via magnetic compatibility, by gravity to come to you, and an explanation is created to deliver the decision because it can't exist without an explanation. That's the game we're playing. We need to understand it happening, so it needs a proper explanation. That's, science in play. That's how we operate. That's how we view things. It's not necessarily how we have to, but it is. It's how we have for a long, long while. Way back when, prehistoric times, they thought a different way. They used superstition as their existence concept, and things were a little wacky then too, but not as wacky as they're going to get. Magic and all that shit, that's real. It's all real. It's just in movies and such, it's so exaggerated that it becomes surreal, it becomes unbelievable. But that, the movies is bullshit. Magic is real. Spell casting or soul casting is very real, and you can do it. And it's not evil. It's not some evil, even for my religious peeps. It's not evil. It is the laws of attraction in play. Sorcerers or witches, people practicing spellcasters, all they're doing is using tokens to to direct values, to put together a combination of values that allows for them to essentially believe something enough for it to happen. It's not these totems aren't really doing anything except affecting the way the caster thinks, tuning their brain to create something. Because you gotta convince yourself that it is. You have to decide it. You can't want it, and that's the example I'm giving. When you want something, when you say I want, a bunch of money, it doesn't just come to you magically, does it? That's because you've decided that you are wanting it. That's your decision. Wanting implies not having. You see what I'm saying? You're deciding that you don't have it by saying that you want it. So that's the value in play. Wanting, desiring is not having. That's the implication of it. Experience is made of implications. What you imply to the world is what will become. Because your mind, the soul, it doesn't really know any better. Your brain doesn't know any better at all. The brain does not know the difference between what is remembered and what is actually happening. The brain has no clue to tell the difference between what you imagine and what you experience. And so if you imagine something well enough, if you remember something well enough, it becomes so. Body reacts physiologically. That's what the core essence of healing in time mechanics comes from. We use senses. We attach an experience to a sense, like vanilla. Vanilla causes my body to relax and to heal itself very quickly because I was in love with a girl a long time ago and we were in excellent condition together. We had a great relationship and she always smelled like vanilla. And so the experience of being in that comforting, loving scenario where my body is healthy and healing itself and very healthy, and in the experience at this time my body was a lot healthier than it is now. It was in great condition. So my brain, when it smells vanilla, cuts back to that. And you can feel it. You all know what that feels like when you smell something or you hear something and it brings you back to that time. Well, time mechanics, in essence, is utilizing techniques that we stole from the CIA and MK Ultra, that we stole from the Monarch program and refurbished, repurposed for our own tasks, and using those techniques to attach an experience to a sensation so firmly, or a combination of sensations is even better, so firmly that when that sensation happens to you, your body immediately reacts as though it's back there. It's time travel. It's real time travel, which there's also real time travel. Get into that. You're gonna the guys are gonna learn some crazy shit this cycle. Um, but that's basically the bottom line of how it works, how synchronicity works, how your responsibility works, your response ability. Like attracts like. What you decide implies something. Your decision creates a your decision creates a whole domino effect of implications, and your implication upon another person is going to reflect from them. It's going to bounce off of them. It's going to imply something else, and it's going to create this domino effect that builds exponential energy. Because wherever two or more are gathered, when you bounce an idea, a thought, an implication off of somebody else, it amplifies and it becomes stronger. It reaches out into the world and it creates reflections. But you never know what that reflection is going to be when you bounce it off of other people, because it they have their own thoughts and decisions and implications that maybe you're unaware of. That's where spot casting comes in. You figure those out. You figure out exactly how to bounce things in a very specific way to create very specific results amongst very specific people at very specific times. And it's a beautiful, beautiful art form. You can do amazing things. If only you guys knew half of the shit that I've been doing this whole time. Some of you have gone through wonderful experiences because I made it happen. And I'm not going to go ahead and take public credit for it, but I did make those happen. And someday you'll know that I did. Someday you'll see how I did. And I'm very happy to do it. It's not I'm not saying that I'm like you know I maneuvered you guys, a lot of you, but I always did it to make good things happen for you because I love you, and someday you're gonna do it to me too. So it's not manipulation in and of itself is not an evil thing. It's not wrong. We only see it that way because the people that have been manipulating us have been doing it to damage and steal from us. So there's an aspect attached to the value of the word manipulation. And that's another thing, another key pointer. You have to bear in mind what the values of the words that you use really are. As I said in the language video, you have to know what the words you use really mean, and then you have to figure and see the aspects that are attached to that value, the implications that that word is creating. The word manipulation just means to move, to maneuver, to influence. Nothing wrong with that. But because the people have used it to damage us, it has an aspect attached to it of wrongness, of abuse. And so manipulation implies abuse, but it doesn't mean that. You understand? We have to be very careful with our language because our language is our basic operating system. Everything that happens is based on the words we use and how we use them, because thoughts are words too. Our feelings are defined by words. Everything is made of words. It's like how the Bible said the word is creation, the word is life. There you go. That's what it means. The Bible's not far off. It's a great book. It's a great book, but it's not very well written. And the story in and of itself has varying implications that I've already gotten into in my War in Heaven video. You can watch that and see what I think about the Bible. But um, I'm out of time here for now. Just keep that in mind. Like attracts like. What you think and feel, and when you feel it, that's what puts juice in it. That feeling is the energy you have it, and you have to have that energy behind your thought, behind your decision, and put that feeling into it. If you want money, what you want to do is think about how you're spending it and feel good about that. Think about how you're going to spend the money, what you're spending it on, and how you're going to feel about that, and make that thought and feeling happen, because that implies that you already have the money. And you know what? Give that a shot for a little while. Meditate on that and see if you don't wind up getting some money. And come back to me and tell me that it's all Looney Tunes hogwash. This is real. This is very real. You guys, gonna you're going to begin to wake up to it. You're gonna see it happen because it's commonplace. It's everywhere. It's always happening. You are always doing this. Problem is you have to look into the way that you are doing it, see what you've been implying. You have to really take a look and examine yourself and how you think and feel about things and what you are creating, and retune that. So we'll get into all of it, but that's as much time as I have right now. Thank you for watching. I really hope you guys watch this. This is important. This is the starter for the rest of them. I love you guys. I'm very happy that you're all getting active. I'm not going to ignore you anymore. I'm sorry about that, but I figured, I won't ignore you all, but I am going to kind of be abrasive about the page thing. You guys got to get active here. We're starting to do something big. This is it. This is the big shot. So let's launch this thing. I love you guys. I'm very happy you're here. All of you, every one of you. I'm so happy that you're with us. Let's get this thing going. Let's come to a common understanding, and let's launch that understanding into the larger world. Kila Salai Terve Une Siari Namaste.